Hi, everyone. In December 1872, the captain of the Dei Gratia sighted a strange ship floating off the northeastern coast of Brazil. He described it as being fully rigged, square and fore and aft, and flying the colors of the United Kingdom. But there was not a single soul on board. There were no sailors in the rigging or on the deck, no one at the wheel, and no crew waving from the bowsprit. There was not even a cat on board, yet the ship, which the captain later learned was called the Mary Celeste, was seaworthy and fully provisioned. It was as if the crew had simply vanished into thin air. Join me today as we look into what may have happened to them. The Mary Celeste was an American merchant ship that had sailed from New York to Genoa, Italy, carrying a cargo of industrial alcohol. On board were Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife and 7-month-old daughter, along with 4 crew members. All was well until December, when a violent storm lashed the vessel. After the storm passed, the first mate, Thomas Nickerson, came below deck to find that the captain's wife and daughter were dead. The mate had assumed that they died due to exposure to the elements, given that the cabin door was open. He closed the door, tied the shutters, and turned in for bed. Sometime after midnight, he was awoken by what sounded like screams in the night. However, when he went up on deck to investigate, all was calm. He did notice, though, that the sails were full, and the vessel was sailing in a direction away from the course set by Captain Briggs. Thinking that perhaps the captain had taken the helm during the night, he went back to bed. In the morning, he went up on deck again and found that the ship was still sailing in the wrong direction. He also noticed that the captain, along with the rest of the crew, was missing. The ship's papers, money, provisions, and personal belongings were all left behind. Nothing appeared to be stolen or disturbed in any way. The ship's log ended abruptly on December, with an entry by Thomas Nickerson stating that the captain was at the helm, that all was well. And that was the last entry in the log. The Mary Celeste was found 2 days later by the captain of the Dei Gratia, who brought the ship to the nearest port where it was reported to the authorities. News of the ghostly ship quickly spread around the world. At first, it was believed that the crew had succumbed to a disease known as kostushko, which can cause those afflicted to wander off into the sea without a backward glance. However, when the ship was searched, it was found to be free of any disease, as well as any sign of struggle, violence, or even panic. Furthermore, the supplies on board were untouched, leading some to believe that the crew willingly abandoned ship, although there was no lifeboat to be seen. There are many theories about what could have caused this. Some believe that the crew staged a mutiny, killing the captain and his family, and then sailing away on the lifeboat. However, this theory is unlikely because, like I said, there were no signs of violence, and the lifeboat was never recovered. Another theory is that the ship was rocked by a sudden and unexpected seaquake, causing the crew to flee in terror. But there were no other ships in the area at the time, nor was there any evidence of a seaquake having occurred. This leads us to believe that the crew probably weren't scared of another ship, but of something far more terrifying, something that would strike fear into the hearts of even the most hardened sailor, something like, for example, an octopus. Yes, cephalopods. In an article published in the New York Sun on January 1873, one Charles L. Jewett proposed that the crew likely fell victim to a giant octopus, which he claimed were known to attack and board ships. While there is no scientific evidence that these creatures exist, let alone that they attack ships, this didn't stop the legend of the ghost ship Mary Celeste from inspiring literature, such as The Mystery of Marie Celeste by Morgan Robertson, It's a Strange Case of the Ghost Ship by Arthur Conan Doyle, and even an episode of The Twilight Zone. So what do you think happened to the crew of the Mary Celeste? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching.